Evet arkadaşlar, bu akşam sevgili Şebnem'le tekrar birlikteyiz. Bir kendimi öne çıkarayım. Sevgili Şebnem'le tekrar birlikteyiz ve Şebnem bize İran koordinatörü biliyorsunuz Detailing'in Farsi çevirmeni ve bize Şebnemciğim yeni seçmeli kursu Detailing'in en yeni seçmeli modüllerinden Eternal Radiance, sonsuz ışıltı modülünü anlatıyor olacak. Geçen bir webinar yapmıştık. Ondan farklı olacak. Burada yapıyı konuşacağız. Eğitimin içeriğini konuşacağız. Ve bize bilgiler verecek. Yani mini bir ders gibi olacak. Duymamış olan dostlarınıza da atabilirsiniz. Ne kadar fazla kişi faydalansa o kadar iyidir. So today we have dear Shabnam, my dear friend Shabnam. She is Iran coordinator and also she is Farsi translator. She has the one of the newest elective course, Eternal Radiance, Theta Healing course. So she'll be talking about it today. And we had a webinar recently. This will be a little bit different than that. We will be talking about the structure of the course, and also this will be like a mini intro class or mini lecture. I don't know how the creator guides. We'll see. Nasıl yaradan rehberlik ederse onu görüyor olacağız. So let me welcome my friend. Welcome Shabnam. I talked too much today.
Lovely to hear you.
Lovely to hear you too. Okay, so let me start the translation and then I am now making you spotlight. Şimdi çeviriyi ekleyeceğim. Ekranınızın altında sevgili arkadaşlar, öğrencilerim, dostlarım, ekranınızın altında şey göreceksiniz. Çeviri butonunu göreceksiniz. Ses
Is this good? Let me just let me connect my. I won't be able to hear you once I connect my mic, but I want to make sure that you can hear me well because sometimes when I do meditations and stuff, I go really low. So just 1 second.
All right, can you hear me okay? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Gaia, for holding the sacred space for us and for all that you do. You're an amazing person. And it's really an honor to know you. And thank you so much for all of you who are here. I'm so excited to see you here, and I'm so excited to have this time with you. So thank you for being here. With your permission, I would like to scan you, and we can walk up to the Creator and open with a prayer. Is that okay? Can I scan you? Awesome. Yay, this is awesome energy. This is really good. Thank you. So I want you to take a nice deep breath in, letting it out, bringing your attention to your heart. And then I want you to imagine that the energy of Mother Earth comes up to your feet, all the way up through your body, right up to the top of your head, creating a beautiful ball of light right above your head. Notice the color of this ball of light. Imagine you're inside of it. And we're going to go up, up, past the universe, past layers and layers of light, past the golden light, past the jelly-like substance, into this white, white, tingly light. I want you to go higher and deeper into this love, allowing it to come through every cell of your body, feeling completely at one with this love, and allowing it to help you remember who you are. Taking a nice deep breath in here. You can thank Creator for anything that you're grateful for right now, this moment. Creator of all that is, Atanaha, all that is. Thank you so much for this time and this place. Thank you for who we are and who we are becoming. Thank you. Aham. You can gently open your eyes. And stay connected to this love. Yay, that was awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Now I don't see you, so I want to see you. I'm just seeing myself. Okay. Now I can see your beautiful faces. Hi. Okay, so I am Shabnam. I'm a psychotherapist and a supervisor for psychotherapists. I've been a psychotherapist for the past 20 years, and about 10 years ago, I learned about Theta healing and I became a practitioner, and very soon after, I became a teacher. I tell you about my story a little bit more in the class because it's related to the material in the class, and because the class has come through my direct experience of working with 9 different ego fixations. But today, we're going to do a little bit of experiment. I'm going to tell you about the structure of the class, what the benefits are, and we're going to do a little bit of reflection inwards, and that's what we're going to start with. Because I like to do this in the beginning, just so you can tune in to that energy of authenticity, to that frequency of your true self. So all of us carry limiting patterns. You know, it could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be energetic, it could be physical. We all carry this sort of stuff. Yeah. And ego fixation happens when we are identified with those patterns. And that identification is outside of our awareness. So we're not aware that we're identifying ourselves as a pattern. Then it becomes really hard to shift it. No matter how much we do belief work and we do different things, it becomes very difficult to shift it because our subconscious mind understands the pattern as who we are. Okay? So that makes me wonder, and I've seen a lot of this in clinical work, that makes me wonder sometimes that maybe those patterns that we identify with are not there really for us to fix them, but they're really there to help us go beneath them. It's almost like they are the bridge, okay? So we can go beneath them and discover and remember who we are. So it's as if they are a bridge into our true selves. So because when we do that, when we learn the mechanism of doing that, then they just resolve and we can actually stay very connected to ourselves. And this is something that I experienced throughout past 10 years when I was writing this class. So I always say that the class Eternal Radiance is not to destroy egotism, it is to illuminate it so that we become aware of it and so that we can make it a bridge, not a barrier, to our true self. Okay, so there is like this little thing that I do once in a while, other than a map that the class gives you so you can actually see fixation, understand it, and dissolve it, which I'm going to go over. But there's this little thing, this little awareness check that I always do, and I've told you about in the previous webinar, that I kind of go into thinking, okay, Shabnam, for the past while, maybe a few months ago, what sort of problem do you keep having? Because I want to find out the loop. You know, it's the loop that we identify with. So you can do that right now, and I invite you to do this little experiment. This is the experiment part of the webinar. Okay? So you can think about what sort of problems have I been having lately? Okay, it could be like problems that have to do with relationships, problems have to do with family, money, career, I don't know, clients, students, colleagues, health. Okay, what sort of problems have I been having? Like the last time I checked with this question, I was having problems in relation to picking up too much responsibility. Okay, and when you kind of see that pattern, like looping, you can actually start seeing, oh, like for example, I saw that this is something that all the females in my family do. And subconsciously, I've taken that identity. Okay, so I want you to figure it out for yourself right now. Just give yourself a little bit of time and see what is your loop that you're looping. Okay, what sort of problems do you keep having over and over again? And once you identify that, you can just write that down. Doesn't take that long, right? And I have to say, looking at our ego fixations takes a bit of honesty and a bit of courage, which I'm sure all of you guys have because you're theta healers. We are very courageous, right? And we're very honest. You know, we're into like finding patterns and stuff. So it's no problem for theta healers. Okay, so once you found your loop, then I want you to ask yourself internally. It's a very powerful question. I wonder who I am underneath this issue. And just give yourself a couple of seconds. I wonder who I am underneath this problem. If you just stay very still and quiet, you might actually notice that you start feeling into this expansive, vast presence. Okay? Something that is, maybe there are no words to describe it. You know, the spark of God inside of us. There is no worries of the future. There is no heaviness of the past. There's just this nowness, right? And that is the potential that we each hold. And God knows what we can do with that potential. Okay? And we can use it to create a lot of good things in the world, right? So how would life change if we could live from that place of authenticity? Just think about it for yourself for a moment. Most people don't know, but there are 9 major distortions that pulls us away from that alignment with the Creator, from our true selves. Okay? But the good news is that for each fixation, these distortions, we call them ego fixations, but for each ego fixation, there is a higher thought, which is a quality of our essence, that can help us remember, remind us of who we are. And then there is a virtue, a forgotten virtue, that is like a key that unlocks the fixation. Okay? And that's what we're going to go over in the 3 days of eternal radiance. We're going to actually learn about each ego fixation, and then we're going to learn about the higher perspective that is actually a quality of our essence, a beautiful quality of essence you notice in your DNA. So when I start talking about the higher perspectives, you actually know what it is. You can feel into it. You can tap into it. And those qualities or those frequencies help you remember who you are. And then there is a virtue and action step that goes with each of these higher thoughts that actually unlock the fixation, so we don't have to stay in the loop. So once we actually see the fixation, once we actually become aware of it, a lot of it dissolves on its own. And the rest of it, we have tools and the miracle of theta healing technique that we can actually disassemble the whole thing. So that's what the class is going to be like. We're going to learn about the whole illusion that gets created around the fixation. Okay, there are 3 triads that we're going to go over. So the first day is going to be the first triad. Each ego fixation has this whole illusion, has an emotional energy that goes with it, has certain belief systems that goes with it, has certain behaviors that comes with it. And then there is, for each ego fixation, there is a higher perspective that releases it. And there is a virtue that realigns us back to who we are. So the first day is going to be like this. The first triad, I'm going to go over some fundamental concepts for this work. This is an ancient knowledge, so it's not something new. And, us Easterns, there are some people who might not be Easterns, but the majority are Eastern people here. So we actually have this knowledge in our DNA, and you're just going to remember it. So it's going to be very easy for you to remember all this knowledge. So we're going to go over the first triad. I'm going to talk to you about some fundamental concepts like basic trust. For example, basic trust is the trust that our soul has in itself and in the nature of the universe. That is what gives us the courage to actually be born. Okay? But then it gets forgotten through a series of events. We're going to talk about that. On the first day, we're going to talk about the holy love, the holy faith, and the holy hope. These are three qualities, essential qualities of our truth that Sufis believes we need to remember in order to embark on the journey of self-actualization. And I'm going to explain to you why that is. So there's going to be all that on first day. And because there are 3 points on the first day, we're going to have 3 digging sessions. But the class is very structured with details. It's very light, so it can go very deep. And you see, as you actually understand these fixations, the belief sessions are really easy. They just dissolve. It's like magic. Boom. It's really cool. You're going to see. And then on the second day, we're going to go over the second triad. And there's going to be a lot of emotional liberation that happens on the second day. It's beautiful. And on the third day, we're going to finish with the third triad. And one of the points of the third triad has got work on the divine timing. So you're going to work with divine timing from the place of your essence, which is magical. I think you're going to love that. And then we're going to integrate, and from that place of wholeness, we're going to finish with a manifestation. So I believe that manifesting becomes very, very easy once we are in that place of truth. And I'm going to explain to you why by the end of this webinar, a little bit of why. But why is this work so important, and how can it benefit us? You know, in this 20 years of my clinical practice, I've seen people being very identified with their fixations and not being aware of it. So no matter how much they do work, it's like they shift a little, but they're not free from the loop. Okay? And through this deep ancient knowledge, I think one of the most important things that we gain by going over it is that we start having this way of identifying when the energy is getting stuck in an identified kind of way for ourselves and for clients. And then we will have the tools to release it without having to work on the same thing over and over again. So it will upgrade your knowledge and confidence as a practitioner for sure. The other thing is that it will give you a sense of homecoming to yourself because you're unveiling through these 9 points, you're unveiling all that is covering the radiance of who you are, that part of you that is eternal, hence the name Eternal Radiance. Okay, and that will feel really good, like coming home to yourself. This would be something that you can actually use to kind of connect back to who you are and manifest from that place very effectively. And this work smooths out our evolution process. So this ancient knowledge had a few purposes. One of the main purposes was for people to actually have a smoother ride through the evolution. So it was supposed to make it easier for us to evolve. Another purpose of it was to have a very clear connection to the creator, so to be able to get very clear messages. And another purpose of it from the ancient time was to actually be able to regain or remember our intuitive abilities faster and easier. So, back in the ancient time, people had to study these 9 different fixation points a lot to find out their dominant type. And then for the rest of their lives, they had to do very certain practices to try and balance that dominant type. Thank God for Teza healing, because we don't have to spend lifetimes over lifetimes trying to find out where our ego gets fixated to be able to balance it. We can actually do it a lot easier, and it makes life so much smoother. And it is my prayer for this class. This is my personal prayer. Maybe you have the same prayer, but it is my personal prayer that with this work, we develop a deeper compassion for ourselves and for others, and on a collective kind of sense, because I kind of feel that our world really needs a deeper kind of compassion right now. Okay, so this is the hope that I have with this class. And personally, I think that working and understanding understanding and balancing our ego, and unveiling our true self is one of the most powerful professional upgrades that us as healers can do for ourselves. That's my personal opinion. It will deepen your professional capacity for sure. So it's a very deep class, but it's very light, because I believe that's the best way of going deep, to have lightness, and that's how it's going to be. And now that I've talked about the class and its structures, I want to kind of give you a little bit of the knowledge that comes with this class that has to do with the nervous system and also with our energetic field. Are you guys up for it? Okay, so there are 3 major categories for all these types of ego fixation. Okay, so the three major categories are inflated, deflated, and rigid. Inflated ego is something that everybody kind of knows. It's like when you feel superior to others. But really, it's when our nervous system feels so unsafe that has to inflate like that to feel like now I'm protected. Okay? You will learn more about each of these types in the class, and you will learn about all the types that have inflated ego. But what's important is for you to know that our sympathetic nervous system goes into fight and flight when our ego gets inflated, and sometimes we don't even know that's happening. Okay, so when our nervous system goes into fight and flight, it's a survival kind of mode, then we get cut off from our connection to the creator. So that's the issue that we're having. We're cut off. So we might actually start trying to force our manifestations, or force reality, or force something to happen. Okay, so there's a force that comes into place. Sometimes you might feel, all of us, we might feel like really forcing this to happen, right? The second type is called deflated. So this is, again, when nervous system feels so unsafe that in order to protect itself and make itself invisible, right? So it's like when the nervous system goes into freeze, into collapse. And you can probably relate to this type when we are afraid of being seen, when we are not charging the right price because we're afraid that this might not go well, when we are kind of keeping ourselves invisible, when we kind of feel like I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't know, I'm not knowledgeable enough, right? So it's when the nervous system kind of goes into freeze and our energetic field collapses. So it becomes invisible to opportunities around. And I've had a major kind of experience with that I'm going to talk to you about in the class. This is also rooted in trauma. Okay, when we kind of want to, it's safer to be invisible than to be seen. The third one is the rigid type. The rigid type is when there's hyper control. So the nervous system is under a lot of pressure and a lot of control. And it's like the flow of energy that needs to be in flow is suppressed. So again, it's very difficult to manifest from that place, right? The more our ego is balanced, the more our nervous system becomes regulated. And the more our nervous system becomes regulated, the wider, the bigger, the more expansive our energetic field gets. So that's why when we are creating or manifesting from the place of authenticity, it can happen effortlessly and it's so easy. So if you're ready to work on that frequency, to become more of yourself, I invite you to join us for this 3-day class. You know, it's the 3 days just for you to kind of tune in to that which you are, and the world really needs more of you. So if you're ready for it, I invite you to join us. Now I think that's the end of our time, but I want to give you some downloads if that's okay, Gaia. Okay, so can I download you that you know how, you know when, you know it's safe and possible and that you're worthy, deserving good enough to be grounded in Creator's love, to be in alignment with Creator, and to be inside of your body without it becoming overwhelming. Can I download you that you know what it feels like to have compassion towards yourself? To know that you're worthy and to know that you matter. That it's safe to be your true self and that your true self is what's needed. And that you understand Creator's definition of being flexible and that you understand Creator's definition of being in the flow. If you like all those downloads, please say yes. That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was so cool.
Its energy is like sparkling, so beautiful.
Enerjiler parlıyor gibi, çok güzel. Just stop the translation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It was amazing. Say just in Turkish, I will announce the course dates if that's okay for you. Sevgili arkadaşlar, 26, 27, 28 Aralık tarihini takvimimize yazın. Türkiye'de ilk defa gerçekleşecek. Online gerçekleşecek. Sonsuz ışıltı, Eternal Radiance ve gördüğünüz gibi sadece minicik bir kısmı bile ne kadar böyle o da mı var vesaire gibi şaşırtıyor insanı. Bilgi dolu ve materyal dolu olduğunu görebiliyoruz zaten şimdiden ama eminim çok çok daha fazlasıyla güzel anlamda şaşırıyor olacağız ve dönüşüyor olacağız. Türkiye bursu var her zamanki gibi. Kısmi burs, tam burs değil elbette ki ama kısmi burs. Bunun için bana ulaşabilirsiniz. gayalkan@gmail.com, gayalkanakademi@gmail.com. Birinden ulaşamazsanız diğerinden yazın. Hemen dönemezsem tekrar yazın. Lütfen peşini bırakmayın bana ulaşmaya çalışırken. Çünkü bazen yoğunluktan gözden kaçabiliyor. Onun dışında dediğim gibi bir ana ücret artı organizasyon ücreti şeklinde oluyor. Ücret bilgisini alabilirsiniz. Ön koşulu sadece derin kazma. Sevdiğiniz dostlarınıza, öğrencilerinize iletirseniz çok sevinirim. Ve Şebnem'le 26, 27, 28'inde buluşacağımız için heyecanlıyım. 26'sı akşam olacak. 27-28'de de gündüz saatlerinde olacak ve online olacak. Muhteşem olacak. Yine İngilizceden de dinleyebilirsiniz. Benden de dinleyebilirsiniz çeviri kanalından. Herhangi bir sorunuz varsa ulaşabilirsiniz. I just talked a lot, but in general I just mentioned the course, scholarship availabilities, and the dates and stuff like that, and my email, and they need to insist to write me if I couldn't return to them immediately. So would you like to say something as we are closing, Şebnem? Şebnem, is there anything you want to say when we are closing? Şebnem dondu sanırım. Ben mi dondum, Şebnem mi dondu? Şebnemciğim donmuş. Okey, bir iki saniye bekleyelim o zaman. O zaman bence Şebnem bağlantı kuramayacak gibi görünüyor. Hepinizi çok öpüyorum. Bu kaydı YouTube'dan izleyebileceksiniz kanalımdan. Kendinize çok çok iyi bakın. Görüşmek üzere. Bay bay.
Bye, bye, guys.
Let me take a picture of you. Let me take a picture of you. Yay! Wonderful.
Thank you so much, guys. That was beautiful. I love your language. It's so nice.
I love your language too. It was really beautiful. Looking forward to the class.
Yeah.
Dilinizi çok seviyorum diyor. Hoşça kalın. İyi geceler. Kendinize iyi bakın. Bye bye.